sent me to Minneapolis to do 3 things. De-escalate, done. Take public safety threats off the street, over 4,000 illegal aliens were arrested, done. Gain cooperation from state and local law enforcement, so it makes the agent's job safer to arrest a public safety threat and the safety and security of a facility, done. But even though we're drawing down resources, we still want to have hundreds of special agents here drawn down on the fraud here from the Somatic community and others. Those fraud investigations can continue until they're done. We're going to hold people responsible. We also got investigators here doing the church investigation to include Don Lemon. We're not walking away from anything. We've achieved what we came here for. This is like any other surge operation. LA, it ended. Los Angeles, it ended. Charlotte, it ended. New Orleans, it ended. This is ending the surge, but we're not going away. And let me say this, over 800 flights a day land in St. Paul, Minnesota. If we need to come back, we'll come back.
The US border czar Tom Homan has announced the federal immigration enforcement surge in Minnesota will end. He confirmed he'd stay in the state to oversee the withdrawal of the troops after President Donald Trump approved his request to conclude the operation. There have been widespread protests in the wake of 2 fatal shootings at the hands of ICE agents, which saw frequent clashes between demonstrators and agents.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week. I'm not going to remove everybody out of the safety of our officers, but like I said, in Operation Metro Surge is ending.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and the Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey have blamed ICE tactics for the escalating tensions in the community. Yeah, I mean, there has been those well-noted deaths that had took place that we've discussed multiple times. But in hindsight, do you think it was successful?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can remove criminal, illegal aliens from the streets, that's success. That is success. Are there more out there? Yeah, I think this is a battle that's always fought and always has to be done, but is never truly completed. They will move on to other jurisdictions and other cities now, especially in purple and more red states where local authorities actually help them and actually turn over the illegal aliens while they're in jail. So it doesn't require such an enormous footprint. The Minnesota authorities, they wanted a big show. They wanted a big, you know, to make something huge out of it politically, partially to divert attention from the massive fraud that has happened in Minnesota. But now temperatures are going to come down and the focus will return to that.
No, and that continues today, too, by the way. The story, reactions to that in Washington, that massive fraud that you're talking about. There's also, I mean, you've got the midterms later on this year too, right? So, I mean, you've got particularly Democrat states that are going to be pushing back against Trump and ICE, etc., for their own political purposes.
Well, it's not so many states as it is politicians across the country. You have, even CNN did a study today, and talked about this today, and they're no friend of the president, is how the far left has hijacked the Democrat Party. And that is a big part of the Democrat activist base, where the money, the volunteers, and the energy is. So you see a lot of Democrat politicians kind of being controlled and pushed by that far fringe element in the Democrat Party to say and do some things which may hurt Democrats in November.
Where do you think this program heads next? I mean, you just sort of hinted that earlier. Where does it head next?
Well, they'll be going into other cities, and right, they have been major operations, immigration enforcement operations in other cities, but in states that where the law enforcement actually local law enforcement cooperates with federal agents, which is for 200 years been the norm, you don't see such a big media spectacle. In this case, Tim Walz and the Minnesota Democrats, they needed that for political reasons, so that's kind of why it happened. Now, on an ongoing basis, there will be focused, targeted big operations, but there will still be ICE operations in Minneapolis. There's still an ICE office there. It will still happen. It will happen in a more low key way, especially since Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and Ellison, the attorney general, there did capitulate to the Trump administration in saying that they would turn over criminal illegal aliens inside the jails, which is far safer for everybody. Less manpower. It's in a controlled environment, and it's safer for the public.
How do you see the midterms going, John, at this stage?
Well, I'll tell you what, I come on here, obviously I'm a Republican strategist, but I try to call it right down the middle. So I will wager this, that what is going to decide the midterms is two things: the economy and how well that performs, although the signs for Republicans are promising in that, but it needs to get a lot better, and it will in 9 months. The next thing, there'll be some event. There'll be some black swan thing that happens between now and November that we don't know about yet that is really going to shape it. The one thing we've learned in American politics in the last 10 years is that it's really difficult to prognosticate 8 or 9 months out. So it's the economy is going to be the background, and there'll be something else that happens between now and then. It's really going to determine it. But we'll look back on February and November and realize that now we really didn't understand the battlefield in which the midterm elections will be fought.
Usually, at the end of a second term, if things don't go well in the midterms, you're getting into lame duck territory. That would usually apply, but Donald Trump, as we know, is a different political animal. Will it apply to him?
Well, it depends on how the midterms go, right? So there's unless one party, the Republicans, gain a lot of seats, right, and then have a larger majority, and this could happen. I don't think it's the most likely possibility right now, but it could happen. Then it's easier to govern and push through legislation. But no matter which party's in charge, when they have a very small majority of only 2 or 3 seats, you always get some members that are going to be difficult and try to hold the whole thing hostage. And the Democrats had that problem, and the Republicans having that problem to a degree too. And that's just the nature when you have 1 or 2 members that decide they want this, that, or the other thing and can gum up the whole works.
Yeah.
In any event, no matter what happens in the midterms, President Trump will almost certainly retain control of the Senate. That means he can confirm his nominees and will still have the enormous power of the executive branch, regardless of who controls the House of Representatives. But it's a long 9 months, and it's going to be fun to see, interesting to see how this all turns out and how current intervening events affect the midterms.
That's good stuff. As always, John Jordan, thank you so much.